Welcome to the Seed Creative Podcast, the podcast where we discuss both video production and just life in general. The goal of this podcast is the same as the goal of our business, to make a difference in people's lives. All right, Gavin is currently drunk texting us high as a kite because he just got his wisdom teeth taken out.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny. All right, let's get started. I'm going to mention this at the beginning of the...
Do it.
Okay. I'll open it this time.
Okay.
Dang, it's a lot of pressure. I'm going to try to sound exactly like you. Here we go. Hello and welcome.
You did sound just like me.
I peaked immediately.
You peaked immediately. You got to go, hello.
Hello.
Hello and welcome to this week's podcast. My name is George Edmondson. Today's guest host, Nick Golden.
Hello. I just tried to do the intro and it did not work.
We're going to leave your intro in.
Yeah, I think so.
And today we're flying. Well, it's not solo. I guess it's duo.
Flying duo.
We're flying.
Pilot and co-pilot.
We're flying duo today because Gavin is currently. Oh, wow. He's still texting us. Gavin is currently drunk texting us because he just got his wisdom teeth taken out.
Yeah, not actually drunk. I don't want Gavin to be uncomfortable. He is on, like, what is it called? Novocaine or
whatever the stuff is to get your wisdom teeth out.
And would you like to read the first message?
Oh, yeah. Received? I'm going to read it. And in the video, we're going to put the photo up.
It's awesome.
But he texted us and he's giving us a little thumbs up there. And I can't even read it. The text is, I'm in current beryllium high from her dented.
Oh my gosh.
And so everyone has laughed at it. And I said, how you doing, bud? With the little laugh emoji and the sweat thing. And he just said, probably.
So we will keep you posted throughout this podcast, the more that we receive. He's texted us more. This might be the whole episode because this is pretty funny.
All right, so I said to Gavin, tell us about your experience. And he just said, what? And then he said, I still don't know what's happening, RN, like right now. And Jacob said, who are you? And Gavin says, I don't know.
You know what's the funniest thing about this to me is his instinct as soon as he got his phone back was to text us. And like I know he texts his other friends more, but it's funny that he texted us.
I don't know if he does. I think we are his go-to, his first people.
Maybe.
And then he'll text his friends because we're his
family. Don't go against the family. Dude, what is wrong with that? So
that's a scream that like... I'm sorry. I used to be into hardcore metal music, and there's this band called Job for a Cowboy that got really popular doing I think they would call it breeing. And when they would scream, it'd be like, dun, 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 dun.
I started laughing because I want to let you know when I make the promo for this.
It's just going to be me going.
This is it. This is our last podcast episode.
I think so.
Okay, so we should probably explain where we're sitting and why we're sitting where we are right now.
We're sitting in heaven. I couldn't even get it out.
We're in that part of the Matrix with all the guns flying through.
Or we're in I'm a Mac PC.
Yes.
Or we're in Verizon commercials.
Or Chick-fil-A.
Or we're in Chick-fil-A commercials.
Oh, we should have got the couch.
Yeah.
And done it. Oh, well. Well, anyway. We are on what is called a psych wall for you non-film people.
Or you could call it an infinity wall.
Yes.
It's also called that.
We're also just inside all of your minds right now.
We are. Because if you can't see us, you can hear us. So let me describe what I see right now. Just pure white everywhere. And it's a borderless white. And literally, when I say we're sitting in here, it's as if we're sitting in half of a bowl. And when I look at Nick, even with my naked eye, it totally is like disorienting. Because it's absolutely pure white, no borders. There's the walls and the the floors are curved so that there's no shadows. And so it's like you can't tell where the wall is even when you're sitting in here. It's pretty wild.
It's insane. Like it's insane. Like when I was setting up for the podcast, I was so worried I was going to walk into the wall because you really just cannot tell where it starts and where it ends. But anyway, this is something that we've been working on, and something that I say we, but that George hired somebody to do. But
I did
because we hired somebody to do it, and we've been waiting to talk about the studio because this is the last like biggest piece of the studio, but we have moved, not since the podcast started, since way before the podcast in April. That's when you signed the lease to a studio, which is an extremely far move of 4 doors down.
Yeah.
But which we lucked out with. But the new space is, I don't know. We keep trying to figure it out, but I would say 6 to 8 times bigger.
I'd say 6. It's pretty close to 6 times bigger square footage wise.
But just the functionality is like 300 times more or something.
Oh, dude. Maybe it's so much better. So much. Yeah. I mean, one of the biggest things, honestly, is the fact that the ceilings are so tall.
Yeah.
So it's 12-foot ceilings to the very top, but it's basically like 10 feet to usable space because about a foot of it is now insulation and foam. But then we've got 10 feet from the floor to the joists. And what we love about this space is the entire studio from front to back is covered in joists that are, I would say, 2.5 feet, 2 feet from each other. Yeah, probably about 2 feet. And so there's just like so many options in like rigging lighting and rigging things from the ceiling. And so with the psych wall, we've got some lights rigged up to the ceiling, and we've got them. We had the electrician kind of map some power outlets to some switches on the wall, so we can just switch the lights that we have rigged on and off. So like we can interchange our lights, but we don't have to worry about climbing a ladder to like power them on and stuff like that.
It's incredible. And it was a very long process, longer than I think even George thought, and I thought it would be shorter than that.
I told you.
Yeah. I should have listened to you. But anyway, let's kind of talk about how did we design this space? Like, what was the goal in mind? Because it's really difficult to maximize a space, I feel like. And we went through, I mean, I don't want to say 100 iterations, but a lot of variations of what this place was. And it started out as a very dingy old office that had a long hallway. Like the floors were crappy. I mean, it hadn't been used in quite some time, and it had 6 offices. And the first thing that we had them do before we had even made any decisions was get rid of everything.
So it was 6 offices, but that's not including back there.
Well, yeah.
So really it was like 10 like rooms.
And we initially, we'll kind of skip over this part, but we initially were only going to have this one main room, but then lots of conversations were had and we ended up
getting more space.
The back space.
Yeah. As
like future growth space / where we may or may not put a podcast studio. So TBD.
Yeah. I think we will.
Okay.
So going back, we were in a tiny space. It was just I outgrew it 3 months after getting it, but it was like I'm already here and I just made the space work. I love the location that we're in because we're in downtown Tuscaloosa, and so we are 4 blocks from campus. From the University of Alabama, we're 2 or 3 blocks from City Hall. We are right across the street from the federal courthouse.
It's a prime location.
It's like everyone, you give them 1 or 2 landmarks, everyone knows how to get to our studio in Tuscaloosa, like period.
Right.
And the fact that we're right down the road from the university, because of our location, we've actually gotten work because people will frequent a coffee shop across the street and they see our sign, they look us up, they see what kind of work we do, and we're doing multiple projects for UA just through our location and our visibility.
Was that intentional when you picked the location?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, that's really curious. I never thought about that. That's cool.
Yeah, like everything that I do, and I've talked about this in other podcasts, is like thinking 5 years ahead.
Yeah, I just didn't know if you thought of the coffee shop.
I did. Cool. That's one of the main reasons that I took it. Well, there are 2 reasons: U-Perk Coffee and Lusa Brews.
Right. Because
Lusa Brews is a brewery, but they're honestly more angled toward like the young professional. They're not like a bar where you go out and party and act crazy. They're like, you go, you have a drink or two, you hang out with your friends and you leave. Like it's way more chill, and it's more, again, designed for like the professionals in Tuscaloosa. And so I knew people were going to be walking past that sign constantly. People go to frequent U-Perk Coffee because it is so close to the university. And they have, great coffee. And so,
people will ask us like, hey, what do you guys do? Like they'll, just be
stop us
by.
all the time. Yeah, they stop us all the time.
Especially, we're a few further doors down from it now than we used to be, but especially when we were basically right next door to them.
Yeah.
All the time. Yeah.
Yep. So, and then, our clients will go to Lusa Brews, and if they look in the window and we're still here, they'll pop their head in and talk to us and stuff like that. And it's always good to just kind of be at the forefront of your client's mind. Because honestly, they've got so much going on, but it jogs their memory. Right. Oh yeah, I need to talk to you about a video. So that's one of the reasons why location was perfect. So now we can go into the design of the studio. So even though people watching this podcast currently, we haven't released final imagery videos of the studio because it's almost done, but it's not yet. But maybe if you're watching this later, it's released now, but this entire studio from top to bottom was completely gutted and renovated, other than one room in the front and a couple rooms in the back. Everything else was totally overhauled and redone by us.
Right.
And when I say by us, I mean collectively us, the landlord who owns the building, and then some people that I hired called Timber and Hue, which is owned by a friend of mine named Corey Daniel, and they do like house renovations, but they also do corporate and like commercial painting and stuff like that. They're incredible. They painted the whole place. They're the ones that built the psych wall. They painted our brick.
It looks insane. Yeah.
Yeah, like really it's completely customized, but more importantly to me is it's optimized to be efficient, because one of the things that I think separates us from other places, other people that do what we do, is the fact that I'm always focused on efficiency and optimization, in the fact that we have our studio design where we can film something and literally take 4 steps and we're editing.
Right.
We turn around, we take the card out, turn around, put the card in our computer, ingest, edit. Like that is important to me. People have asked me that have been to the studio why we didn't, and I can talk about the layout in a second, but why don't you have your computers and your edit bays in the back of the studio? Why are they up front, right where everything is where you film? The reason why is because that's efficient. It's optimized. We don't have to, I think it's a mental thing. If the computers and everything were in the back, I feel like we would record and be like, okay, see you later. And things can get sidetracked. Right. And with the way that we have it now, our computers and desks are in the front, right in the studio with us. We pop that card out of that camera, we turn around, and we immediately offload.
Yeah.
And we can be breaking gear down while things are offloading and backing up.
Also, not to mention, one of the most important things that come out of where it is the creative conversations that we have and the collaborative effort. I can be standing 10 feet away in the studio, breaking something down from the last thing we shot, and see your screen, and you can say, hey, what do you think about this? Play it. I can watch it while still doing stuff. And that was something that we could never have done in the old studio. We wouldn't have been able to see. We would have had not enough space to do both at the same time some of the times, which sounds dumb. Like, how come you can't put a card in an SD card? But seriously, sometimes we couldn't even reach the computers because we were doing other stuff.
Because, and gear was in the way and stuff.
Yeah, so all of us immediately, we didn't even really talk about it that much in terms of where the computers were. I think if anything, the iterations of when we were going through what was going to be where, that was one of the only constants was the computers are going to be here. This is where we're going to sit.
Yep.
The rest of it we kind of played with. So
yeah. So the other thing, so when you walk in the door now, to the right, there is a room, and it is not done. And it's honestly one of the last things that we're waiting on before we actually reveal the place. But there's a room, and it's got like a couch, a couple chairs, a TV, a coffee bar. And that's where, once we open up completely, we can have guests come in and they can sit and watch their videos and take notes, and we can go over things. We've also already used the studio space, and that is where it's like a holding room,
right.
Where people can go in and just hang out until they're called in to be filmed. And so, again, it's really efficient. It's right there. You walk right in, and there you are. But then once you come out of that room, you see, as of right now, a set of 4 desks, 2 computers, and then 2 empty desks where Nick and Gavin typically come in and they just bring their laptops because they can just sit down, get right to work, and then leave, and there's nothing kind of in their way. And then you keep going, and it's double brick walls. That was also something that was really intriguing to me when we got the space. I saw that it was double brick, which means sound and insulation, keeping the place cool or warm.
Also safety, which sounds
and safety,
dumb,
yeah.
But tornadoes happen.
Yep.
A huge one happened here, 10 years ago.
Right.
It could happen again,
Yeah, we're when we go in the back room, we're double brick halfway underground.
Yeah.
So it's like we're pretty safe in this studio. But yeah, and then again, it's just a bunch of open space, and then we've got our psych wall, which we're sitting on now. We've got a build-out area where we can build our cameras. We've got our Sure Power there. We're going to put on the back wall of the psych wall some pegboards so we can hang, these microphones when we're not using them. We can, again, everything is just completely optimized to be efficient.
That's actually my favorite part of the studio. I don't actually know whose idea it was anymore, but I remember just thinking that I loved that idea because
having a build-out section.
Having a build-out section, because one of the biggest problems and one of my personal, not even pet peeves or just stuff that drives me crazy a little bit is, we come back from a shoot. We have nowhere to put anything in the old studio, nowhere to set cameras down for a second unless it's on the desk. But the desk had 3 people sitting at it, 3 editors sitting in a really tight space. And that was good for some stuff. But when it comes to this situation, we needed a place to do this.
I mean, in the old studio, the camera would go directly to the dining room table in our break room, kind of the front break room area. It was so weird, dude. Now that thinking about it, it worked because it had to work.
Right.
But anyway, so yeah, we've got that build out area, and then we've got a bathroom, and then we have a freaking sound booth for audio recording, which I'm still figuring out how to make that the most efficient, just based on the way that I do voiceovers and tutorials and stuff. And then we have this whole new back section. And when I say new, it's new to us because it wasn't originally in the design details.
Right.
And you can go over what we kind of have back there right now.
Okay, so right now it seems like a waiting area with 3 different rooms, but it's really kind of 4 different rooms. As soon as you walk in, that's kind of an area that clients won't see too often.
They don't see as often, right?
I'll talk about one other thing too in a second. But so in the first room, we have our gear storage, and that is another major detail that the studio has given us, which is space to store gear. Oh my gosh, thank goodness we have space for that. Because before, even if we had room for more shelves, which we only had 1 shelf before, we didn't have room for more shelves. So we couldn't have put anything anywhere. So we have all of that organized super well. And it was, I'm assuming, super beneficial last week when you guys had to grab a bunch of stuff to go.
Absolutely.
And it was all set out. Anyway, then we also have a break room, which is, I actually like a lot better than I thought I was going to. I thought it was going to be a little bit of a waste of space, but the fact that
we can turn it off a little bit, separate ourselves.
Yeah. Going back there and eating lunch is really good for my mental like capacity to create, not health, but capacity to create. And then the other room is, like we said, will probably end up being a podcast studio, which I do want to talk about in a second. And then we have one more room just for like boxes and that general
It just
stuff.
catches all the crap.
And that was also something we really needed, which we did have at the old studio, sort of, but not as organized.
Right. It's an organized crap catcher.
Yeah.
You like that?
Yeah, that was beautiful. Can we put that on the door?
Absolutely. Dude, yes. We don't even have a door on it right now. Yeah, well, that's why we're saying the studio's not done. We still don't even have doors on it.
We're finally to the point where everything functionally we need.
Oh, yeah. It all works now.
Yeah.
Like, I can bring a client in and we're good. Like, before.
It's no longer embarrassing.
Yeah. Before it was like, don't mind we still have a leak here, so there's a bucket. You know, we had to fix a bunch of stuff on the roof. And
don't mind this giant 8x12 hole on the ground where the psych wall is going to go.
Yeah. The psych wall, man, it took a while, but I'm so glad that we got it pretty much done. And again, it's not even fully finished. Like the edges are still not done. There's a couple little inconsistencies in the floor that we're going to get fixed.
But the Corey knows that.
Corey's awesome, dude. Corey's the one that pointed it out to me. I was like, oh, it looks great. And he's like, no, it's just not right. And that's why I wanted to hire him. He's a perfectionist. That's why I hired Corey. Like, hands down, he is someone that is not going to skip. Like, he's going to do it the right way. But he's also mindful of being efficient and mindful of saying, you know what? Because of what this is, we can use, what I don't even know, 2x2 instead of 2x4, and it'll save you this much more money because it doesn't matter if it's not, because it's also studded into the brick, and like saying all this stuff about like keeping it at code. I don't know, but I was like, I just trust you, and okay, sounds good.
Yeah, and also, I mean, like cost for him too, time for him, like he has a billion things going on like we do, so he was really smart and like not having to communicate a lot with us because we don't have to. We hire him because we don't have time to think about it.
Sure.
If we had time to build it, we would have tried to figure it out ourselves. But.
Yeah, and I think that we could. I used to build skateboard ramps. It's very similar to how a skate ramp is built.
Yeah.
But again, he does it where it's like it's the right way to do it. You know what I mean? Yeah. I was just like, this should work. Hammer these pieces together.
Yeah. The code, it wouldn't be up to code.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, there's a couple different things about this studio, like grand scheme, that I think is really cool. And the first thing is, I think it offers the space for the first time ever, we could have multiple client things going on at once.
Absolutely.
So, and this is, I'm going to list like what I think would be the maximum amount we could be doing at once.
Okay.
Staff and stuff bearing, but so we could have a meeting in the meeting room with a client and go over a video.
Yep.
We could have someone literally sitting out here with us, watching us edit and talking through their video. We could have someone shooting on the psych wall. And we could also, or they could also be shooting on our other little corner that we didn't talk about, which is where we keep our
green screen,
black backdrop, like with what our kind of typical go-to quick setup.
Mm-hmm.
And then there could also be, once we finish this, someone in the back recording a podcast totally on their own when we get it up to where we want it to. And that's like 4 to 5 different clients that could be here all at once.
And that's not including people sitting at the other desks just editing in general.
True.
And so again, when we design it to be multi-purpose and multi-use at the same time, so we can get as much going as possible, decreasing the amount of time that we have to be out. Now, a majority of our clients are still on location.
Yep.
We go out to them and we film them, but we're getting to a point where we can offer such a variety of looks in this one space that talking heads and stuff like that are very important to the style of videos that we do. If the client wants to, just schedule them all in a day, bring them all up here, get all that done, go out and shoot B-roll at their place. And we have just saved so much time. And like so much time. It's kind of crazy.
All video production, film, anything is a time to money like ratio.
It really is.
And that is the greatest value that this has. The fact that in a 5-minute-ish time, we could have someone standing on this psych wall and then literally pivot the camera, and they could be shooting on a green screen or black or whatever.
Or
over
brick.
there in the corner, or brick, or we could,
or the window when we get it done.
Yeah,
or have an office setting, or podcast. Like it's
Yeah.
crazy how many sets we can have in here.
yeah, and it can all happen in one day. Basically, we operate, I would say, 90% of our videos are with it, like client videos are done within a day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
shot within a day.
Shot within a day. And this kind of goes into the next point about the studio that's cool, and this is something that I think is actually pretty unusual about our space, is everywhere is designed to also be a set.
Yes.
So going back to the computers, that's actually the greatest example. I don't know of a whole lot of places that have a quote unquote edit bay, edit suite situation that is strictly like, that isn't strictly an edit room.
Right.
Like over there, we've used it. That was the first thing we shot here, and we've used it 4 or 5 times since then for stuff for motion VFX, because they're an online company and it's good to kind of use like a techie YouTuber look in the background. Boom, we just clean up our desks and use it.
Yep.
And that's the set. And we have the joists right above it, and we could rig a light right there. And it's like boom, 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 boom. There you go. And we're definitely shooting those motion VFX videos more efficiently and giving us more time to be creative than we ever have. But anyway, long story short, that's the best part of our studio, is that even the we could even use the break room for a set if we want to.
Yeah.
I'm sure we will at some point.
Yeah, probably.
And that is the advantage that the studio gives, and I think that's super unique.
So because of who we are and how we operate, it's, I guess, going back to this, it's just always important to be mindful as you're growing, be mindful of the future and how are things going to affect you long term, versus, the short term gains. I have spent a lot of money on this studio, and I don't even own the building.
Yeah.
But I know that we're here for at least 5 years because I signed a contract. And so I was like, you know what? It's going to hurt in that first 6 months, but it's going to be worth it over the next 5, maybe 10 years. Heck, I might buy the building at some point. Who knows? And that's not a joke, because there's a spot right beside us that is absolutely big enough to be a small to medium sized soundstage.
Yep.
And that's my ultimate goal.
Yep.
And I haven't actually shared that with anyone except people within our seed group and my wife. Is, dude, we're bringing Hollywood to Tuscaloosa.
Absolutely.
And that's not a joke.
And I want to stop you there for a second. That is something that is less known, but there are some super great films and stuff that come out of Tuscaloosa all the time, especially from the university. And this is something that not a lot of people know about, unfortunately, but they are really trying to grow a good student film department over there. Now, I've kind of shifted since I came to college. I started out wanting to do more film stuff, and now I'm more documentary style. So I've kind of moved away from being super involved with that. But there are some really bright minds and great staff there. And knowing that, with the combination of students wanting to learn it, and then somebody like us or a couple other companies in town that become more film oriented, kind of like what we're doing, more documentary, but bigger production oriented, like the growth in Tuscaloosa is definitely there. And I think you've gotten in on the ground floor of that. And I think that's really cool.
Absolutely. I've even talked with Jim Page, who was on our podcast a couple weeks ago. And, he and I have talked about different incentives, that there is a push to grow that industry.
Yep.
And it's something that obviously we've been trying to grow here in town, for 7 years at this point. And so I think that that's kind of the future, and the next bit for Seed is to continue to offer incredible videos for our clients, but also provide a creative space and provide opportunity for people like you, for people like Gavin, for people like Jacob and Nick Coker, and people that we know that come out of the university. Gavin came straight from high school, but you, Jacob, and Coker have all come from the university. And, like a lot of what my passion is as well, and this is why Jim, Paige, and I click, is because I want to retain people that are talented to stay in Tuscaloosa as long as possible, not forever. I mean, it'd be great if it was forever, but if people move, they have their own lives. But, for as long as we can, man, keep people here in town and keep Tuscaloosa, like, not only growing, but being, like, progressive in the arts and in the creative spaces. Because I think that it's something that was lacking. I don't think it's lacking anymore, but it was lacking. It's one of the reasons Kentuck Art is one of our clients. And look, I'm just going to be honest. Like, we work with them on, they don't have like the hugest budget in the world. But like, I'm passionate about artists and creative people. And I know how hard it was, dude, it sucked when I started.
Yeah.
Because like, not only was like, video wasn't as big of a deal when I started. Instagram didn't even offer video yet when I started doing this. And when they did, it was 15-second cap and stuff like that. So anyway,
I forgot about that.
Like, with all that said, like, not only like video was looked at like, oh, the news, like literally when I started shooting video, it was the news, or, oh, like commercials. Well, the news company WVUA does commercials for free if you air them on WVUA. And so it was like I was competing with free.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like, and so I know how bad that was. And like, it took a while, but Tuscaloosa caught up. And I think a lot of the work that we did with the chamber helped that, because it helped. We had to educate a community, an entire business community, on the value of online video.
Right.
Like, and Seed Creative were the ones to do that.
Absolutely.
And we did that, honestly, without a studio. So now look at how much more impactful, hopefully, we can be with a studio that provides opportunity for us to grow, but also, man, opportunity for other, like, I've told people before, like, if you need to rent the studio, like, if you need to rent the psych wall, eventually a podcast area, like, we're going to be really competitive in our rates.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I want to make money, but I also, like, if they grow, they're going to keep using us.
Absolutely.
Like, I believe in investing in people and investing in ideas. And I know that like, that's my long-term gain. You see what I'm saying? Like, my long-term plan is work with freaking kids out of high school who show talent and promise. Right. Because, I mean, it's going to get to a point where if I want to, I can just stop and Seed will keep going.
Yeah.
And that will never happen because I would go crazy.
You would.
But like that, I want it to get to where I could do that. If I wanted to take a freaking year off, I could do it and we'd be okay.
And we're already close.
We are pretty close actually.
There's we don't have to talk about this a super long time, but I would say the only thing that we're super missing right now on the post-production side, you could almost not exist.
Yeah.
Like, you definitely still edit better than all of us, but you don't need to.
Right.
The place we're still kind of growing is on the production side of it. Like, physically on set, running without you is still something that's new that we talked about in the roles episode a little more. But so to kind of like finish up and kind of steer back towards talking about this space specifically. So when you set out to design the space, what made you want to like let the rest of us have input? Because, this, you're paying for it totally, it didn't matter. Truthfully, like, at the end of the day, it did not matter what me and Gavin thought. I know why you did, and I know what you're going to say, sort of, but like, when it comes to just strictly business, not a whole lot of other people would have been texting and letting us draw plans on and send floor plan ideas to you. And, even talking to Jacob, who had great ideas for the studio too, and he's not even here that much. Like, what why did you do that? Was it a conscious thought? And what do you think we got out of that?
Yeah, it was absolutely conscious. So, number one, and you have heard me say this before, and you say it more than anyone, but you'll say like you're the one paying for it, and it's your stuff. And I'm gonna be one of those cheesy old corporate guys where I'm like, no, I'm not. We all are, because I couldn't do this without you and without Gavin and without Jacob and now without Coker. Like that's not going to happen. Like I can't do it all by myself. And so like in my mind, why would I be so arrogant and selfish to say I know what's best? I'm not even going to give them the opportunity to express their ideas. Now, at the end of the day, yes, I can and probably did on a few ideas trump ideas that maybe were brought forth because I'm having the grand vision of the entire space, and I know the clients that we're talking to and stuff a little bit more than y'all. But I'm never going to remove the opportunity to voice your opinion and to at least speak out. Again, I might say, that's a great idea, but we're going to do it this way. But I want, again, it's like an investment tool, but it's like I want y'all to be thinking creatively and not thinking I'm just going to show up and it's a job and I go home and I don't care. Dude, you care about Seed Creative.
I do.
Gavin cares. Jacob cares, even though technically Jacob is like more removed than everyone else. Like, he's part of our group, and Adam cares. See, we didn't even talk about Adam because he's working remotely right now, but that could change. And I wanted to, dude, one of those desks belongs to Adam.
Yeah.
Like, period. So eventually, hopefully, when he moves back to Tuscaloosa, he's got a place to sit. All right, hold on, take a pause. More texts from Gavin. I asked him if he was alive, and he said, yeah. And he sent me a photo that we'll put up on the podcast.
Oh, poor Gavin.
And he's so swollen, and he's got his AirPods on. And he says, I look pretty cool, too. And Adam, the king of memes, sent a pretty funny meme.
So good at GIFs. It's ridiculous.
Oh, yeah, GIFs.
It's ridiculous.
Anyway, I'm never going to be so, like, self-centered and arrogant to think, like, I'm just going to do it and y'all are going to just follow my lead. Because that's bullcrap. Like, that's not what a leader does. I listen to a lot of leadership podcasts, too. And so I draw a lot of inspiration. But then also, man, like, I'm a natural born someone who's going to get up and kind of take charge in situations that I feel comfortable and confident in taking charge in. And so that's just my style. My style is to ask for input and make the input valuable, even if it's not used.
Right.
That's something else. This is like a whole other podcast. But like what you say, what any of the Seed members say is valuable, even if it's not acted upon, because you're thinking creatively. You're thinking about ways to be efficient, to thinking about ways to make Seed better, which in turn makes all of our lives better.
Right.
We've talked about how there's no cap on what you can make here. Like, if Seed keeps growing, we're all going to keep making more money. Like, that it does in this situation trickle down. Yep. It does. And so, I know not in all situations, but that's not how I run my business.
And what you said about, even if the idea isn't used, this happens on shoots also. And it's, the way I think about things is even if I have an idea in anything, not even just Seed, but in anything, just saying that might put another thought in that person's mind. They gave them an idea to buy the backspace. If maybe I said, hey, we need a better storage area. And George is like, well, I don't want it here, but hey, this space exists, just who knows? Yeah. And that isn't always conscious. That your brain, you can't really process how your brain interprets things that you don't, you know what I'm saying?
I don't want people to be scared to speak up.
Yeah.
And so I want to foster an environment We talked about like creating shooting environments and stuff is kind of like what this podcast is about, but it's not only about shooting environments, it's about like your corporate culture. And we're not a corporate entity. We're not like some big corporation, but it's a real thing. And the culture of Seed is we all have value. We all need to speak up. And if I can continue to foster that concept, one of these days, I mean, and it's happened already, but one of these days, one of you is going to not be afraid to speak up, and you're going to say something that is brilliant and changes the trajectory of Seed Creative and all of our lives. That is what's going to happen. If it might have happened already, we just don't know it.
Yeah, true.
It's like we're going to get 3 years into the future and say, dang, remember when Nick said this? Yeah. Well, now look. You know what I mean? Yeah. Hey, you remember when George came in and said, hey, let's do a funny April Fool's video?
Boom.
Boom.
Yeah.
Changed the trajectory of my life.
I was going to say, not even just the business, your life.
Yeah. My life, because of the opportunities that we have now, just because that would have not been anything that I would have ever. And by the way, if you don't know, if you're listening to this, if you're new, long story short, I made a stupid video. We got a free cinema camera. I got to go out to Hollywood and hang out with one of the coolest people in the world.
That will be on the podcast.
At some point.
Poor guy works.
It's the CEO of Red Digital Cinema. We got a free camera from Red. And now we're getting hired on things that we would have never gotten hired on before, just simply because of the gear.
I mean, I don't know. That might have, like, the money and stuff and that might have given me the chance to have a job here.
True.
Maybe.
Over a stupid video.
Yeah.
And so what if I would have been scared of that?
Yeah.
Bro, people made fun of us for that.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Awesome. Not like made fun of us like, oh, that was funny. Like, that was a bad idea. George should not have done that. You are not going to be taken seriously. Like, hang it up. You just killed your career. We had people that thought that was the worst idea we could have ever done.
Suckers.
And I know. I mean, look, I'm just saying, like, follow your gut and speak up. Even if, I don't know, man. I've been on sets where people treat others poorly because they have an idea or they don't know as much. And that's just, you can't treat people that way, dude. Like, just be nice and just educate people and help them out, because the person that you're being a jerk to, like, might end up winning an Emmy. Yeah. Might end up getting a Red camera, might end up having opportunities that they could have hired you on. Yep. And now you're a jerk and you're not getting hired and you're missing out on money. You're missing out on opportunity because you don't know how to treat people.
And that comes down to creativity does not equal experience.
Yep.
Absolutely. Like, Gavin has the least experience out of all of us, but has some genius ideas sometimes.
Dude, all the time.
And not that he's low experience. Don't take it that way. But, like, just...
Well, he's young.
In terms of years.
Sure, yeah.
And Gavin is super smart.
Yeah.
And has great ideas. And Gavin put into a more corporate world somewhere would never get the chance to do, have input.
Yeah. Gavin is okay with us saying this, even though right now he's laying in a bed. But he fully is okay with us saying that Gavin he's quiet, especially when he's around people he doesn't know, because that's just his style.
Yep.
And he wouldn't be someone that would just speak out and be loud and make his voice heard in any other environment than this one.
Right.
Because we encourage it. And so anyway, we talked about physical spaces being efficient and being things that, physical environments like the studio, but then also at a deeper level, just the culture and the people that you surround yourself with.
Yep.
So I think
that's what Seed Creative's about.
That's what Seed Creative is.
We'll do a terrible job.
Yeah. That's our motto.
Thank you, George, for your leadership.
There you go. We got to say it every time.
There we go. Also, we did this.
I knew you were going to say it.
I'm not. Dang it! Not Emmy
documentary
that I was not part of, but we did an Emmy-winning documentary.
Oh my god!
There we go. We got it in. All right, we can now quit because we did it.
All right. So if you found value in this, or if you didn't and you just want to talk, if you're one of the people that's a jerk and wants to leave a rude, nasty comment, go ahead, because anything that you do boosts our algorithm and our views. So please please leave those dirty comments. It does not hurt us in any way.
Dirty isn't mean, not dirty.
No, leave a dirty comment. Oh gosh,
I'm leaving that in.
Obviously, I have not gotten enough sleep or something. I don't know what's going on. Yeah. We've actually not gotten any bad comments about this podcast, so I think we're okay. Yep. You could be the first. All right. The first. Obviously, be sure to like and subscribe, comment, talk to us. Let us know what you think about the psych wall, about the future growth. Where are you in your walk in video life? Your company, whatever. We love to talk. We really do. I have many conversations with people that I will never meet in real life, but I like chatting with folks. So
and as soon
talk to us.
As soon as the studio video comes out, come check it out. Come hang out with us and make something awesome here with us. Yeah.
That's it.
That's the plug.
See you later.
Bye.
This podcast was produced by Nick Golden with executive producer George Edmondson, edited by Nick Golden and Gavin Manning. Be sure to subscribe, drop a like and a comment. Tune in every Monday for brand new podcast content, and we'll see you on the next one.